Hi friends, today's topic is about cost component structure. I hope everyone has basic idea about product costing. If you don't have any idea, please listen to my video Introduction to Product Costing. In this video, we shall discuss about cost component structure and how to create cost component structure. So let's start. So what is meant by cost component structure? Cost component structure means it consists of all components required to produce finished product. Okay, so if I want to produce any product, so for that product I required some raw materials. Okay, I required some labor. So all the components which are required to produce means which are required to produce the final output of a product, those components are combined and called as a cost component structure. For example, while manufacturing, okay, while we are manufacturing any product, okay, it includes various cost, right? Various cost such as material cost, okay, and overhead cost, labor cost, machinery cost, etc. Okay, so these are the components to produce one manufacturing product. Okay, next thing is, so what is the use of this cost component structure is, cost component structure you can find consolidate output. Okay, you can find the consolidated output means you can find the total cost output when you run costing sheet, sorry, when you run cost estimate in transaction code CK11N. That's whatever the components you are maintaining in that cost component structure. So once you execute that CK11, it will show you all those components and it will show you the cost, how much it had incurred. Okay, so let's take one small example. Okay, we shall go with our daily day-to-day life example. I want to have one cup of coffee. Okay, so of coffee, so this is the final product which I required. So for making a cup of coffee, so what we required, so first we required milk, okay, second it requires sugar, okay, third it required coffee powder or coffee beans, okay, so these are nothing but the raw materials, right? And fourth, you should have labor. Next, fifth, machine, okay, so six, any overhead expenses. So if you take the final product is cup of coffee, to make a cup of coffee, so these are the components required to produce the finished product. So these are the components. So I'll create one cost component structure and I will include these components. So let's log in into SAP and just create one cost component structure. Okay, so now we need to create one cost component structure, right? So let's go to IMG screen. IMG, and the path for creating component structure is controlling, product cost controlling. As I said you in my previous video, in product cost controlling we have three things. One is product cost planning, cost object controlling, actual costing, and material ledger. So now we are discussing about product cost planning. In product cost planning we have two scenarios. One is with quantity structure and another one is without quantity structure. So with quantity structure means it includes BOM and routing, whereas without quantity structure means it doesn't include any bill of material or routing. Okay, so first what we need to do, we need to create one cost component structure. Okay, so click on basic settings for material costing. So here it is, define cost component structure. Okay, so click on new entries. So once you click on new entries, so you create some component structure, means give some name. So what you are doing, what we are doing, we are creating component structure to make a cup of coffee, right? So give here CF or anything. So here cost component structure for coffee. So this is the final product, and select here primary cost component split and click on save it. Okay, so once you click on save, so what is the use of selecting this primary cost component split is, okay, so what is the use of selecting this primary cost component split is so if you select this option, what will happen is, so you have various components to generate one finished product. So if you select this option, then only you can get individual cost of each component. For example, see here we have sugar, milk, and coffee butter. For example, to make this coffee butter, I I had means we required some 3 to 4 other raw materials. So those all raw materials you need to include in this component. So some of these 4 raw materials cost is nothing but coffee powder cost. So if it has to calculate like that, then only you need to select this option. If you don't select this option, it won't allow you to create components for cost component structure. Okay, save it, select here and click on cost component attributes. So once you click on cost component attributes, we here in this screen you can add all the components which are required to produce that finished product. Okay, click on new entries. Okay, what is the component structure we had created? CF. If you don't remember, just press F4. Okay, so here you will get cost component structure. And what is the first component? 01. So it is sugar, right? Otherwise what you can do is you can just specify raw material 1, raw material 2, raw material 3 like this, or directly you can specify sugar raw material. Okay, and here another important point is, if you see here we have cost share. In cost share you have two options. One is variable cost, next is fixed and variable cost. For every component you need to select fixed and variable cost. If you select variable cost, so what will happen is, at the time of planning, for example, if you are doing planning for this sugar, okay, so I will go for planning. So go to transaction code KP 26. So at the time of planning, so give here version 0, because if you want to plan means you need to define version compulsory. give here 0 and select here 1 and give here 1 to 12 fiscal year 2016. Select any cost center which you had created. Okay, and select activity type. Okay, and click on this overview screen. Okay, if you want to do planning for that particular component, so you need to select fixed and variable cost. Why? Because here we have two options here, fixed price and variable price. If you select only variable cost, and if you are trying to plan for fixed and variable, system won't allow you. So my best suggestion is always select fixed and variable cost, so it will be easy for your planning. And next important point is roll up cost component. So you need to know what is the use of this roll up cost component. Okay, roll up cost component. Okay, so what is the use of this roll up cost component is, so it determines the cost component are rolled up into next highest costing level. So what does it mean? So what does it mean is, I have one finished product, not finished product, I have one raw material. Okay, so in order to produce that raw material, okay, I should, so that raw material will be produced with the help of two other raw materials, two semi-finished raw materials. Okay, semi-finished or raw materials, okay, or complete raw material. Okay, so if you select this cost roll up, what will happen is, so here for semi-finished raw material, in order to produce that, I had spent some 20 rupees, and for producing this raw material I had spent some 10 rupees. So what will happen, so this summation will be equal to this raw material. Okay, so cost roll up means if one raw material is having sub raw materials, okay, it has to take the total cost of all the raw materials and it has to show the output. So for that reason we should select cost component roll up. Okay, and save it. And next thing is, here you can find one filter option. So this filter option, where it will be used it when you execute the transaction code CK11N, so you can find various views. Okay, so all these views will be available there. Now actually here we are having two scenarios. First one is cost of goods manufacture, next is cost of goods sold. When you are doing cost of goods manufacture, you need to select roll up cost component compulsory. If you don't select this option, okay, it will throw you a warning message, means it won't allow you to save. Okay, then the scenario goes wrong. So you need to select cost roll up cost component for cost of goods manufacture and inventory valuation also. Okay, save it, go back. So let's add one more component. So click on new entries, CF 02. I think sugar we had already added, milk raw material. Okay, I'll select fixed and variable cost and roll up cost component and save it. So our scenario is cost of goods manufacture, so it is same. And one more, select here CF 03 and save it. Okay, so we had added 3 components, 2 other components are there, so let's add them also. Okay, again click on inventories, it is 04, so not 04 CF, and here also 04 is labor. Save it. Next, and again CF 05, here power consumption. Okay, save it. And last one is overhead, right? CF 06, this is overhead expenses, and save it. So like this we need to create one cost component structure, and we need to add all the components required to manufacture one finished product. Raw material consumption. Okay, save it. Now go back. So now we had created one component structure. In that component structure I had created component attributes, nothing but components. So for these components what we need to do is we need to assign cost elements. Okay, we need to assign cost elements, because how you need to get the data. So when you are posting any transaction through cost element, that data has to be picked and it has to show in that component structure. Okay, select this component structure and click on assignment of cost elements. Okay, here click on new entries. Okay, so first one component is 001. Okay, chart of accounts and 888. Okay, and here you specify for from component and to component. So I need to create, right? So I'll go to FS00 screen. See here, I'll create FS00. Go to FS00, and here in this screen you just create those raw material consumptions. Already it is there, so no need to create. See, like this you need to create 3 GL accounts, and these 3 GL accounts need to be converted into primary cost element. If you convert into primary cost element only, then the data flows to product costing. Okay, means it will flow to CO, then it will flow to product costing. Okay, I hope everyone knows how to create primary cost element. If you don't know, please refer to my video. Okay, let's go back. So here, so let's select this cost element. If you have more than one cost element, means for producing this sugar, okay, if you have more than one, assign it here. From N to it is there, no problem. That's what. Okay, and here assign cost component. Here you are assigning cost component structure, and here you are giving cost component. For this cost component we are assigning cost elements. So when you are posting any data related to this cost component, or automatically this component will be updated. Okay, and save it. Next, go back, select this, click on cost component attributes, select here, and assignment of cost elements. So again give here CF. Okay, chart of accounts is and 88, and select here cost element. Okay, if you have more than one cost element, you can select here, and you can specify the cost component here. Save it. Come back. Just I am showing example. So later on if you want, you can add more components and you can use the same process for adding those components and adding those cost elements to those components. Okay, CF tabulate. So next is, it is 3,40,000. Okay, add those component here. It is 03, right? So go to 03. Now save it. So like this you need to create all the components, and for those components you need to add primary cost element. Okay, so after doing this, now what we need to do, so this finished product is manufactured in some particular plant, right? So assign this cost component structure to that particular plant. Okay, double click here, click on new entries, company code is N88, plant is also N88. Next is, see here, costing variant. I did not create any costing variant, so for that what you'll do is I'll just mask it. Okay, give plus plus and valid from 01/01.90. Otherwise you can give valid date from today's date also, no problem. As per the according to the requirement you can give. Okay, next is CF and give your component structure is also CF. Now save it. Okay, go back, and here you need to know one more important point. It is, so now we are doing scenario with quantity structure. Okay, if you are doing if you are creating cost component structure without quantity structure, so what you need to do is you need to add those cost elements here. Update additive cost is there, here you need to add. Why? Because if you are doing without quantity structure means it doesn't contains any BOM and routing, so in that case you need to add here. Okay, go back. So like this we will be creating cost component structure in CO. Please subscribe for more videos on product costing and FA related videos also. Thank you.